The Portland Trailblazers could smell the playoffs. They knew it was within their reach. They had a one-game lead for the 8th spot. And they can just feel Denver breathing on their back of their necks, man. They just, they got the 8th spot, but they know it's not a certainty. And Damian Lillard in particular knows this. And they don't fear the Golden State Warriors. They played them last year in the playoffs. And, they were playing against arguably the greatest regular season team of all time. And despite the fact they lost that series, they held their own in many of those games. So they don't fear Golden State. And I know in particular Lillard doesn't. So tonight, he took the reins of the team himself. He took on the challenge of almost pretty much single-handedly giving his team the victory against the opponent tonight, the Utah Jazz. Then so he had individually one of the great performances of this season and the greatest offensive performance as far as points is concerned in Portland Trailblazers franchise history. Damian Lillard scored a Portland Trailblazers franchise record 59 points tonight in a 101-86 win against the Utah Jazz, the same game in which Joe Johnson surpassed the 20,000-point milestone. But Damian Lillard was the man tonight. He connected on 18 of 34 field goal attempts, including 9 of 14 from beyond the arc. He was 14 of 16 from the free throw line, grabbed 6 rebounds, dished out 5 assists, had 1 steal, and committed absolutely no turnovers tonight. Absolutely brilliant game. He broke the franchise record, which had been established during the 2004-05 NBA season by Damon Stoudemire. I remember that game. Stoudemire scored 54 points. It kind of came out of nowhere because Stoudemire, he was scoring that year, but he wasn't like a 26, 27 point per game guy, if I remember serving correctly, but he was just hot that night. Stoudemire was the man in Toronto, though. He was the primary scorer then. He was still a good scorer, but what I'm trying to say is he wasn't like this one-man show back then. But he was just on fire that night. But if I remember serving correctly, I think it was against the New Orleans the New Orleans Hornets at the time. But Stoudemire was on fire that game. I think he hit something like 8 or 9 3-pointers in that game himself. But Lillard surpassed that mark tonight. Interestingly, he probably should have broke 60 points. He missed uncharacteristically 2 out of the last 3 free throws for his team. But he still wound up with 59 points. And things to note of that performance, he is the 10th man this season to score 50 points in a game. Now, a couple players have done it multiple times. In particular, I believe James Harden and Russell Westbrook have done it multiple times, but he's the 10th individual NBA player to score 50 points in an NBA game. I know, let's see, of course, Cory Booker, Klay Thompson, that's 2, Lillard, 3, Russell Westbrook, 4, James Harden, 5, DeMarcus Cousins, 6, Isaiah Thomas, 7, John Wall, 8, Jimmy Butler, 9, and Anthony Davis, I believe, did it at the very beginning of this year, so that's 10. 10 individual players who have scored 50 points in the NBA game this season. And only Cory Booker with that. Now that was stat padding. That's stat padding, but still it's 70 points. But a 70-point performance last week, only that performance and Klay Thompson's 60-point game were higher point totals this year in individual game than Damian Lillard tonight. And with this 59-point game, this was the 75th career game that Lillard has had where he scored at least 30 points. He scored far more than that tonight. But this is the 75th game that he scored at least 30 points for the Portland Trailblazers. that ties him for the second most in franchise history with Geoff Petrie. The number one guy, of course, pretty much you guys would nail it, Clyde Drexler. He did it 130 times during his tenure with the Portland Trailblazers, which was from 1983 to 1995, of course. So Damian Lillard rising up the ranks as far as Portland Trailblazers all-time scoring and marks. But tonight he rose to the occasion, and he's trying to be determined to have his team face the Golden State Warriors in the first round of the 2017 NBA playoffs. But tell me what you guys think.